Thank you. All right, so I am here because I am part of an organization that's called Honor Flight Chicago. And I want to tell you a little bit about Honor Flight Chicago. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what Honor Flight Chicago does and why we do it. I'm going to share some pictures with you and some short videos that kind of help explain the organization. So I want to focus first on this word, that the word is honor. And that might be new for you, but I want you to think about honor in terms of when we recognize someone for doing something really special. Okay? So Honor Flight Chicago recognizes a certain group of people who do something really special. Okay? And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. So let me see if I don't do this right. I want to tell you first, what is Honor Flight? Okay? Hang on to your questions. I'm going to go through this, and then we're going to talk at the end, okay? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Honor Flight Chicago recognizes, they pay attention to, the bravery, determination, and patriotism of our senior war veterans.
Yep.
With a one-of-a-kind journey to Washington, D.C. The trip is only one day, but the experience is life-changing. Do you know what a veteran is?
Yes.
Can somebody tell me what a veteran is?
Somebody from the government?
Kind of. Yep. It's definitely in the government. Well, a veteran is somebody who does something very specific. He or she has been a member of the military. Do we know what the military is?
Yeah. My mom is the military.
Your mom's in the military. Is she in the Navy? She goes to Great Lakes over here, Naval Base. She works over there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So a person in the military,
Is somebody?
and they spent their time in the military, and now they have come out of the military, and they're called a veteran.
What?
So they were a soldier or a sailor or a Marine, but now they have stepped away from that, but they will always be a veteran because they gave us military service. And so Honor Flight Chicago recognizes that these people have done something that they didn't necessarily have to do. Do you have a quick question?
Yeah, my grandpa was in the Navy, and then he got out of the Navy.
And so your grandpa is a veteran, isn't he? Very good. There's the connection. So that's who we're talking about today, is veterans. Okay? Who do we do this for? We do this for veterans. Fly them to Washington, which is a city far away from here, and they get to spend the day seeing all kinds of important monuments and memorials, special places, right? So who do we do this for?
In most cases, veterans do not consider themselves heroes.
I'm sure most of us don't feel any more special than anybody else.
We did a job that was asked of us.
I was in World War II. I was a bomber pilot.
When the job was finished, we went home and were happy to be finished with that.
You know, we did what we were supposed to.
I served in the Navy.
I volunteered for the Raiders, Marine Raiders.
I served as an aircraft mechanic.
Looking back at World War II, all of us at that time were strongly motivated, I think, because of the Nazis, Pearl Harbor.
We were trying to break the Japanese weather code.
I was a member of a crew of 10. I was a bombardier and sat in the front of the plane.
I was in the Navy.
How many times in your life can you have the experience where you fly to Washington, D.C. and see all of the national monuments and get escorted and treated by wonderful people? It'll never happen again to you in all your life.
I feel very good about my Marine Corps service, and especially in Korea.
I served in Korea.
I was only there about 7 months,
until I got hurt. Korea was they called it a conflict. They called it a police action.
The Korean War veterans probably have not been honored as much as World War II, and they absolutely deserve that honor.
The honor flight taken off from Chicago with veterans from World War II, now Korea. I'm so proud that they're doing it for us.
The volunteers and the way we were accepted and treated as though we were something special.
They assigned one individual to each vet.
To take these fellows and get them back with their contemporaries. To be with these veterans that made it through like I did was such a wonderful feeling.
My goodness, when we came back at the airport, there were 2,000 or 3,000 people there.
We came off the plane and said, where did all these people come from?
It was just a marvelous experience.
The organization of it.
At the end of the trip, we wished we could do it all over again.
Some of the people that most impressed me were the little kids. You saw a respect and a love.
The school children need to be educated in the history and the sacrifices that people have made.
This precious freedom that we all have
brings back the trust that we can have in people. People who recognize why they have their liberty.
The guys, what they did in Omaha Beach and what they did in Iwo Jima and Okinawa.
I'm glad I served.
Honor flight is the greatest thing our nation can do for our veterans.
It's a great way to say thank you to these wonderful people who did serve in the military.
It changed my life forever.
It was just an experience that you never forget.
I recommend it to anybody.
This is something that really meant a lot to me.
We shared in a war or police action or something that has not been generally recognized.
We were forgotten. Now we're not, I think.
This is a chance, I think, to be recognized.
It's a highlight of my life.
It was a wonderful, wonderful flight.
I will never forget that trip and that experience.
And it's my feelings toward all of you who make Honor Flight a very memorable one. You have touched my heart.
So let me explain something to you. So Honor Flight, you have these veterans who have done a wonderful thing for our country, right? They served our country in a very brave way, right? And Honor Flight said, you know what, how can we thank them? What's the best way we can thank them? And so Honor Flight Chicago was created. And what we do is we get the veterans to the airport, we put them on a plane, we fly them down there, we give them lunch, we give them breakfast. Well, let me just tell you what the day is like, okay? Let's go through some pictures and I'm going to show you. It starts when the veterans all arrive in the morning. By the way, this is at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Dang. That's
Really early. But the guys are coming and they're signing in and checking in with the volunteers, right? Make sure everybody's there that's supposed to be there, right? And they go up and there's all kinds of fun stuff. There's a singer, he does the national anthem, and then there's some other performers who come before the veterans all get on the plane to fly down to Washington. So you had mentioned my shirt. What color is my shirt?
Purple.
And you see what color his shirt is?
Green.
And what color is his shirt?
Gray.
See, depending on what color shirt you're wearing, says your job, right? So he's called a guardian. I am a member of Operation Education. If they're wearing gray, they're a veteran, right? So that's who's going. Look at they get off the plane in Washington, and there's bands, marching bands, and orchestras, and sailors there to escort them. Lots of people clapping. They get to this one. This is the World War II memorial, and they have a lot of stuff. They have honor guard, which is guys holding flags and so forth. Sailors are there, and see, here's all our little veterans here in a couple rows, right? The veterans that are there to be honored by all these people that show up, right? And it's a really special day. They go to a lot of a lot of different places. See, they've got military singers that come. The guy here who's playing the trumpet, right? And they get pictures taken. This in the background, where they are, is the World War II memorial, right? And that's where they are in these pictures. But they go to many memorials during the day, like this one. This is the Vietnam memorial. It's called the Wall, the Vietnam Wall. It's a very beautiful memorial. But also over here is the Korean War memorial. And they're all very near each other, you know, so the veterans can walk in most cases. I hope they don't step on it. And so they get to go there. And you know what? They get to go with a whole bunch of guys who did this together, right? Who were all in these wars together. And maybe they didn't know them when they were in the war, but they get to know them on this trip. And they get to be pretty good friends, right? Then they go to, there's an Air and Space Museum that they might go see. Yeah, this is a very important plane, and you're going to learn about it one day when you study World War II history. But they go to this, this museum. It's an Air and Space Museum. And at this museum, they have one of the you'll like this, they have one of the space shuttles. The actual space shuttle. Yeah, it's huge. It's really, really big. So we get back to the airport, and the guys have had dinner, and now we're getting back on the plane. And kind of an important thing happens when they get on the plane to come back to Chicago, right? One of the most important things happen, and it's called mail call. And your teachers are going to be talking to you about mail call in the coming days. But you see how he's got a letter here, right? So each veteran has his own packet of cards and letters from family and friends and school kids just like you guys. And they get these cards and letters. Come out and look at. They're so excited. These guys are so excited when they get these mail call letters. They hang on to them for a really long time. They keep them because they're so pleased, you know, that kids took the time to write to them. So that's something we'll talk about, you'll be talking about with your teachers, because it's really an important event for them. And that's kind of an easy thing to do, isn't it? Do you think it would be easy to write a letter? Yeah. Okay. Huh? Who said no?
Rosie.
I don't believe you. So they get home here to Chicago, and when they come off the plane, again, there's all kinds of celebration. You can see there's sailors here, all these flags, that's called Honor Guard. They shake their hands. They clap for them. It's really exciting. And they go through the airport at Midway. And as they make their way downstairs, they start to see things like this. Look at this row of sailors. These are sailors from Great Lakes Naval Base. That's where these guys come down every month when we have a flight, and they assist the veterans as they come off the plane. They walk with them through these parade routes, we call them. And it's just really, really exciting. I have had the opportunity to attend a lot of these, they're called welcome homes. And that's what we tell the veterans as they come through the parade routes. We say, thank you, welcome home. I hope you had a good day. And they're smiling and happy and really tired because they've been up since 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. And so they were up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and this is now about 8 o'clock at night. Yeah. They've been up a long time.
What?
I went on one of these flights. It's a long day. It's a long day, but really exciting. Right? And see all the people along the route? These are family. Hang on. These are family and friends and sometimes just neighbors. that live near the airport, they come to see this and welcome home these veterans from their day of celebration, right? And see, they're just great guys. They're so happy that people are saying thank you to them. Thank you for your service. Thank you for what you've done for our country. And at the end, after they've gone through the parade route, they find their families, they get some pictures taken, and then they go home. But the day stays with them for many years, many, many years. My father-in-law went on one of these flights a long time ago, and he kept his letters that he got in the mail call. He loved it. He thought it was really, really, and that's one of the reasons why I got involved, because of how my father-in-law reacted. It was so important to him, right? So that's what we do, in a nutshell. But yeah, he did. But all of this takes some energy and effort. So why do you think we do this? Why are we? It's called a rhetorical question. There we go. Let me show you this, okay? And I will tell you why we do everything we do for honor.
Thank you is one of the most powerful statements in the English language. Despite that, many of our nation's senior military veterans who risk their lives for our safety never receive that simple acknowledgement when they return from service. Some have waited more than 60 years to hear those two words.
I came back, nobody even said hello. Where were you? Really? Nobody cared. Freedom is not free.
At Honor Flight Chicago, thank you is at the core of all we do. We recognize the bravery, determination, and patriotism of America's senior heroes with a one-of-a-kind journey to Washington, D.C. Since 2008, we've flown more than 7,400 veterans to our nation's capital so they can see the memorials built in their honor and receive the recognition many never heard. It is a day filled with honor, thanks, and inspiration. We have more than 1,500 veterans on our wait list, and it costs more than $1,000 per veteran to give them this day they will never forget. Please consider helping us say thank you to these heroes. The trip is one day, but the experience is life-changing.
Okay, so now, you know what we do, you know why we do it at Honor Flight Chicago. And so I have a big favor to ask of you guys. It costs over $1,500 now. $1,500, that's a really long number, isn't it? To fly just one veteran down to Washington for his or her day of honor. I'm going to ask you all to help us. To help us do that. And here's how we're going to do it. Bring in your pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, or even if you have a dollar or two. Bring that in.
$1,000. I got $1 million.
So, how many are in this room right now?
I have
24 people. If each of you brought in $1, how many dollars would we have?
10 million. 24.
$24. Nice job. Now, if every classroom had 24 students in it,
Money.
and each student brought in $1, how many dollars would we have?
Money.
A lot, right? We will have a big amount of money to help toward sending a veteran, a deserving veteran, to Washington, right?
I can take $3 in.
What did you say?
I can take $3 in.
I love that.
It's 20
I love that. I'm counting on it, okay?
No. It's 20
So,
I can bring That's a lot of $1. That's a lot.
Can we do that in the coming weeks, shortly? Your teachers are going to tell you more about it, and they're going to have a container in your classroom where you can come and bring your leftover change. You find a dime in the parking lot, put it in the container, and there's going to be, I'm not going to say any more about this, but there's, possibly a prize coming. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Right? So the class that brings in the most, right? Okay. Ooh.
So if I bring
All right. What's your question?
why they in wheelchair?
Oh, good. I'm glad you remembered. So a lot of these fellas are like pretty elderly, which means old, right? And for some of them, they have problems. They might have problems walking, or they might have problems with energy. They don't have a lot of energy. They want to do things, but it's difficult. And so Honor Flight said, you know what, we're going to make it easy on everybody. Have a seat. And that volunteer that's pushing the wheelchair, they'll do the energy and the walking. When I went to Washington, I had a veteran who was from World War II.
Whoa. What?
Yeah, he was in his 90s. 94 years old, I
When
think.
he passed away?
No. And so I pushed him in a wheelchair all day because he wanted to see everything, but it was too hard to walk.
What?
Yeah, because he's old, right? I want all of you, before you grab money from home and bring it in, I want you to make sure that your mom and dad says, yes, that's okay.
Money,
Okay.
money. So I can't bring $100 bill in? Money, money, money.
Only if your parents say, yes, that's okay.
I probably shouldn't.
Yeah, probably not.
I probably shouldn't.
So, I want to thank you all for being a great audience and listening. You did a great job. I know it's been tough sitting for this long, but I appreciate your attention, and I look forward to seeing you again in the coming weeks when we have a big old celebration.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Everybody say thank you. Thank you.